Hello and welcome everyone. My name is Heather Leavitt Martinez of Let's Letter Together, where we offer lettering classes for all ages and applications, including kiddos learning and refining their handwriting practices, visual practitioners who work live or in studio to bring clarity and understanding to their clients using large-scale visual note-taking, markers on paper, and calligraphers who want to learn from the masters. And my favorites, my sweethearts, and probably yours too, is Carol Dubosh, Mike Gold, and Sharon Zoigan. And please note on your calendar, next month we're going to be meeting live with Mike Gold, who will be covering brush lettering. In today's session, it's part of the year-long course, Make It Your Lettering Year. For those of you who are joining in and just dropping in for this one session, this includes lifetime access to weekly prompts, live monthly sessions, and access to professional resources from those working in the field. If you're dropping in just for this session, you are welcome to join us at a discounted rate. And those of you who are part of Make It Your Lettering Year, you will have lifetime access to all the recorded sessions, past, present, and invitations to those in the future. Next month, like I said, we'll be joined by Mike Gold. He's going to be sharing some of his favorite brush lettering techniques using all different kinds of brushes. So you just bring whatever you have. We will have a short supply list, but you don't have to have everything. And we are planning, Mike and I are planning a brush lettering workshop in 2026. But meanwhile, let me show you what we've been up to. So at Make It Your Lettering Year, we have a weekly prompt. A recent one was a speed exercise. So understanding and knowing the unique speeds of the tools that you use and the different lettering styles that you're working with. Now, how many of you are working with pencil and doing pressure release Roman? You know that that's a very slow hand compared to maybe writing italic with brush. That can be somewhat faster if you really have a sense of how the brush works. So really understanding what do the different tools, how fast are the tools, how slow are the tools, and also the different lettering styles. Another weekly exercise that we've had is let's go ahead and fill some of those letters and using letters as containers, which this can be fun for very decorative things, especially if you're doing one letter, or this particular style is really fun for envelopes and kids' names. So creating those containers, I show you how to create a hack, how to hack two pencils together so that you can draw these contained letters and then filling them up. And then we did a blind contour exercise. I learned this from Michaela Summers. She's also part of Make It Your Lettering Year. But looking at letters, but not looking at what you're drawing. And so you're really doing blind contour drawing of letters that are right in front of you. Now, in the past, we've had live sessions around Halloween. I believe, Janet, you taught us a lettering style. This is Zombie Hand that I taught. We've also had Tamer come in and show us some black letter. And those of you that are part of Make It Your Lettering Year, you have lifetime access to all of these past recordings. And just a couple of tips. Remember to make the most out of your lettering. Attend these live sessions when you can. Watch the recordings when you can't. Make sure that you have a dedicated space of where you can letter. So some of us are on the move and we have to do things temporarily or maybe by project, but make sure you make that time to practice. So if you don't have a dedicated space, make sure everything's in a place where you can pull it out maybe once a week or several times a week. But ask yourself, what is the best time of day for you to work and that you can find to letter? And how long is enough to reach your lettering goal? So is it about spending a half a day lettering, or is it just 15 minutes, but you do it every day or every other day? Figure out what rhythm works for you. And then also remember to keep building your lettering library, whether you're doing this loose leaf or in a notebook. Keep collecting those letters that you're seeing out in the wild and that you enjoy making yourself. This is going to help you cement your signature style. So let's go ahead and get our work out into the world. What I want to do is next introduce you to Michaela. I had the pleasure of meeting Michaela at a women's, it was about a year ago on an online women's networking event. We immediately hit it off because we had two very important things in common. We both love typewriters and we love making things with our hands. As our conversation grew around the things we enjoyed making, we also discovered that we love helping other creatives in their process, from creation to selling or showing their work. So after taking a few of Michaela's classes on pricing and profit making, as a creator, I felt a mindset shift around how I valued myself and the work that I made. I've experienced firsthand how helpful her tools are in my work, and I wanted to share those with you. She also sends out helpful emails, both very practical and inspiring. So while running her own creative business from her studio in Lincolnshire, England, you have two of those, Handmade Biz, what is it? I'm sorry, Handmade Biz
Handmade Biz Club.
Club, yes,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Blue Stiggy. So let me
Yes.
add you here, Michaela.
Hi.
Let's give Michaela a warm hello as I invite her onto the screen. Good
Hi.
evening, Michaela. I know it's morning
Yeah.
for those of us here in the U.S. It's evening. Veronique is over in France. Yep, and we've got folks all over the world. Now, you spent part of your career leading a team at Etsy. Can you tell us a little bit what inspired you to start the Handmade Biz Club and how it's going now?
Well, my role with Etsy was it was a voluntary one, so I fell on Etsy, and I have done for a number of years. And so they've kind of disbanded this now, but they had a really good community program where other sellers helped other sellers. And so I was captain of my it's a big city here, Nottingham. If you're in the US, you might not have heard of Nottingham. You might have heard of the Sheriff of Nottingham and Robin Hood, maybe. So I was captain of the Nottingham Etsy team, and the thing that I really loved about doing that was helping other people, helping other makers, and watching people at first start and then watching their shops grow. That was my favorite bit. We organized markets as well, and that was great. But my favorite thing was helping people. So I stepped back a couple of years ago from that, but I really missed the helping people. So I decided that I was going to start Handmade Biz Club so that I could carry on doing that bit, which was my favorite bit.
Yay, I love it. Well, are you ready to share with us today about creating and pricing our first product line?
I think so, if you're ready to hear it.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
so.
So, hello. Hi, I'm Michaela. Welcome, and thank you so much to Heather for asking me to come and talk to you. We're here for the next little bit to talk about how to create and price your first product range. So a tiny little bit about me. I'm founder of Handmade Biz Club and Blue Stiggy, where in my day job I make notebooks and stationery that I personalise on my vintage typewriter Dorothy. You can see her in the background here. I'm a former Etsy team captain. I love helping people, and I'm a real nerd. So I make systems and processes for my own business, and then I like to share them with other people. So that's where Handmade Biz Club has kind of been formed from. So you can see. So this is my studio doggo, Bonnie. I mean, that's all I really wanted to show you. You don't need to see me. You can see me already. Okay. So I know a lot of you are calligraphers because Heather's wonderful community is based around calligraphy. But I would love to know if people want to just quickly put in the chat what you do, what is your art, what is your craft. I would absolutely love to know who I'm talking to, as well as all the lovely calligraphers. So I started as a textile artist, so the fibre and the sewing people have got me. And one day small books for this calligrapher Kathy. There's something really lovely about taking a pile of paper and coming out with a book, coming out with something at the end of it, isn't there? So quite a few who are interested in books, that warms my heart.
Yeah, we have a
Okay.
couple of folks here that are both visual practitioners, the large scale note taking, and calligraphers and artists. So
Ah,
yes, yeah.
I don't think I can get my head around taking notes visually, like in a live. So I really admire you for doing that. Okay, thank you so much. So what am I going to be talking to you about today? So as we know, I'm going to talk to you about how to create and price your first product range if you don't have one already. If you already do have a product range, then maybe it'll just hopefully give you some things to think about what direction you might want to take that in. So I'm going to lead you through 4 steps. So firstly, we want to plan a cohesive range. Then we want to price your products with profit in mind, because there's no point having a beautiful range if every time you sell it, you're not making enough profit to build a sustainable business. Then we're going to look at how to show off your range with some product photography. So important. And then also really important when you're selling online is writing product descriptions that sell. I have got a couple of I've got a worksheet for you. You don't have to. I'm gonna put the link in the chat. But you don't have to open it now. If you want to open it now and work in it as we go through, you can do. The first one is a Google Doc worksheet. We're gonna work through the top sections 1 and 4, but a notepad is fine. You don't have to open this. It's just for those people that want it. And then I've also dropped the link for my pricing calculator. Again, you don't need to open that now. You don't need to open that while we're here at all. I'll open it and show you around. And on that pricing calculator, when you get to it later on, there is a video of exactly how to use that as well. So those are the links. And these all come out with the replay as well. So don't worry about them. They're there for people that want to grab them now. Okay. Right. For step 1, plan a cohesive product range. When you decide to start selling your handmade products, it can be really hard to know where to start. We are all people. We all love a range of styles, a range of crafts. Even maybe you do more than one craft and you can't quite decide what you're going to do. We love a range of subjects, color palettes. We're whole people. We like lots of different things. But if you just make whatever you feel like at any given time, your product offering is gonna and try and sell them. Your product offering is gonna look quite confused. If you imagine dumping all of that on a market store, for example, people will just walk past because they won't know what it is that you're selling. If it doesn't look like it goes together, if it doesn't look like it's from the same artist, people will be confused, and confused people just don't buy. The most successful businesses in any niche and in any industry, and I'm not just talking about handmade businesses now, they've got a niche and they know who they're selling to. They know who they're selling to, they know what their customer wants, and they know how to present it. You can marry together different subjects, different styles, and even different crafts, but you've got to have a hook to hang it on, and a common thread that makes it all look like it's a range of products. So I'm just going to show you an example. So if we look at this range, what have we got here? So we've got a cat coaster in quite a cartoony style. We've got a really nice ceramic dish with a botanical print on it. We have got some fruit stickers, a bookmark, a really cool dog painting, and a badge for book lovers. So these all look like they're done by completely different artists. And in this case, they actually are. I've pulled these, from various places. But I've often seen with new sellers a range not dissimilar to this. When you're first starting out and you're first trying to figure out what it is that you want to make, what your style is, I've seen ranges like this. These products are seemingly unrelated. We've got coasters, we've got ceramics, we've got stickers, we've got badges, and we've got bookmarks. Those don't seem to go together at all. But if you pull it together with a common thread, then even this rather disparate set of products could be sold together. So let me introduce you to Molly. Molly very kindly let me use her as an example. Molly actually sells all of the things that were on that previous slide. So in her product range, she does have cat coasters, and she has ceramic dishes with botanicals on, and she has fruit stickers, and she has book lover badges, and she has dog things, and she has bookmarks with plants on. She sells all of those things, but I think we can agree that these images look like they all go together. They do look like they are from the same artist. So she came through quite a journey to get to this, and I'm going to show you. She actually started in a similar-ish place. So you can see where she started. This is her work in 2021. So it is all linked by nature and plants. That was the thing that she started with, and that is still a thing that she does. But you can see it's all completely different styles. So we've got these dark and moody plants here. We've got bright and naive notebooks here, botanical style wedding stationery. And we've got a whole range of colour palettes and subjects, although plants are quite strong, but still these plant products still don't look like they go together. So you can see the journey here. So this is the slide that we just looked at in 2021. Then this cat print here is actually one of her best sellers and still is. And this is where her current product range was really kind of pulled from. She's still doing cats, dogs, books and plants. Is her basic thing. She's selling to this cozy cat and dog person that loves plants and loves reading, but they've got a bright and colourful style. So the sort of person that loves to curl up on an armchair with a book. Their living room is full of house plants. Molly is like this, so actually Molly kind of is her customer, which is a good strong point. And they're probably really happy if they've got a cat or a dog on their knee as well. But they've got this bright and colourful style, because you could have that same person that loves cats, dogs, and reading, but maybe prefers a more sort of muted style. Same person, different style. So she's married together this cozy cat and dog person that loves plants and reading with this bright, colourful style, and she's pulled everything together with the fonts that she's using, with the colours that she's using, and with her subject matter. So this now looks like a cohesive range. So Molly's customers most likely live somewhere like this top one here. That looks like the sort of place that one of Molly's customers look like they live. It's full of house plants. It's full of colour. I'm sure just around that corner there's a cat or a dog sniffing about as well. They almost certainly do not live somewhere like this. So both of these living rooms, they're both living rooms. They've both got floors. They've both got sofas. They've both got cushions, and they've both got items on display. You could sell a cushion to either of these customers, but they would need to look very different, wouldn't they? The person who owns this living room here probably wouldn't be very happy with one of these stark white cushions. And the person that lives here sure as hell does not want a vintage style velvet orange cushion, spoiling their monochrome minimalism. So knowing what style your customer has and what tribe they belong to will dictate the products that you make, and it will make it so much easier to design a cohesive range around them, and it will also make it so much easier to market, because if you know who you're talking to, if you know you're talking to a crazy plant lady, it's so much easier to market to them, because you can completely ignore black and white minimalist people, because they are not going to be buying your thing, and that is absolutely fine. That's good. We want to attract the people that are our customer, and repelling other people that it's not for them, that is totally fine. Often, if you've been in business a while and you've taken any business courses, you might have been asked to come up with a customer avatar or your ideal customer, and often the questions that they're asking are things like what age they are, what gender they are, do they own their own home, what's their occupation, where do they live? And that might be helpful in some industries, but actually I don't find that helpful at all. I find it much more helpful to think about the values of the ideal customer, the values, their style. Where do they shop? What do they like to do? Where do they hang out? My own customers vary greatly in age and in income and location, and whether they own their own home or not. But they have in common things like they are hankering after that lovely slow moment. They like old things, because all of my stuff is done on a typewriter. They love that analog life, that writing letters. They value craftsmanship, and they have eco-conscious values is really important to them. Maybe they're buying from me because I use recycled paper and textile industry waste for my books. So my customers are bound together by those things. They're not bound together by their age, their gender, and whether they own their own home. So when you're thinking about building your product range, you want to think about what tribe your customers belong to. If you don't have customers yet, you can think about what tribe you want your customers to belong to. Who do you want to sell to? are they coffee snobs? Are they pop culture fiends? Are they a bit witchy or gothy? Do they love books? Are they actually love everything a bit kitsch? Are they maximalist or they're into steampunk? People have built businesses on all of these things. It's just about finding and thinking about what your particular person really loves. If you're going to really niche down into something like coffee snobs, for example, or a political viewpoint, which people do, then obviously it needs to be something that you are truly passionate about. So it's because you want you want your product and your business to be authentic, and particularly something like a political point of view. You wouldn't want to be running a business and that was basically promoting a political point of view that you don't have. Similarly, though, if you are a coffee snob, for example, and there's so many calligraphers here, just imagine if any of you calligraphers are a coffee snob, then maybe your product range is really funny, sarcastic, snidey, or just resonant phrases in your beautiful lettering style about coffee. Things that real coffee snobs would understand. I'm a tea drinker. I won't understand them at all. That's totally fine because you're building your business for coffee snobs. And there are plenty of them. And if you're a coffee snob yourself, you'll know all the lingo, you'll know all the things that will resonate, and that actually could be a really cool business. If there's any coffee snobs amongst you calligraphers, there's an idea for you. Please run with it. I'm not a coffee snob. I'm not going to be doing it. I want to just let you take 2 minutes just to and Heather can put a little timer on for 2 minutes just to go away and just have a little think about your customer and I'm going to just put that back up. Yeah. So have a little think about your customer and what tribe they might belong to. So think about their interests, think about the values, what's their style, where else do they shop, what do they want and need from your product, what occasions might they be using it for? Is it for gifting or is it something that they're going to be using daily? And what is your point of difference from all the other businesses around you? So say if you were going with the coffee snob calligraphy prints, for example, you could do amazing prints with funny coffee phrases on them, for example. That would be your point of difference, that you're talking about coffee. You're not talking about tea. Somebody else could do that for tea. So just take 2 minutes. I'm going to leave that up there, that screen up there, so that you can just to remind you about what you're thinking about, and just have a little think.
Excellent. I'll go ahead and turn on the timer for everyone.
Thank you.
Here we go. Take 2 minutes.
How is that? Does anybody, not you don't have to, but does anybody want to share what they wrote down, what they're thinking about their ideal customer might be?
Yeah.
Rebecca. Rebecca, yes, I can, and I
Yeah.
can see you, which is a bonus.
Okay. So the values, causes, it would be environmental or political. Um, the style would be earthy, nature lovers, down to earth. Brands they love, organic brands, natural fibers, like cotton, linen, what they want from it, connection to save the earth, just a caring, empathy and compassion for the earth. And the occasion, I think, would be ongoing for me.
What, and do you sell a product already? What is your product?
No, no, I don't.
No, that's fine. You don't
I
have to.
make
Do you have products in mind?
Well, I have always been interested in this, but I've never gone that far. I've been too busy working and whatever. But I do make fiber art that can have, it's all natural, it's all cotton, it's political, environmental. I just don't enjoy the selling part, so I
Oh,
give them away.
you are so not on your own, which and that's why that's kind of why I made Handmade Biz Club, because we like to just be in our studios doing our thing, right? We want to make our stuff. We're really good at that. And actually the business side and the selling side and the marketing is not so much fun. I'm a bit weird and a bit of a nerd, and I quite enjoy both of those things. I enjoy the business side as well. So that's kind of why this started. But that sounds like you've got some ideas. So this would be wall art, you're thinking? Like political wall art, that is a tribe right there, and then easy to market to. You know who you're
Yeah.
talking to, exactly who you're talking to.
Yeah, it's I've had to support myself all the way through. I'm older, and so I always tried to do some of it on the side. I was never very successful, but and I'm not driven to do that so much now, but I've always been curious the best way to do it.
Yeah, well, I mean, you've got a good niche there. So if you did decide that you wanted to take it out of the sidelines, that would be what you would do, and all of your that tribe would be quite easy to find.
Yes.
Marketing wise, if you went on if you went on Instagram, or if you invited people onto an email list, you've got this shared really political vision. Yeah, so if you ever want to bring it back into the main and off your sidelines, you've got a good start there. Once you've thought about your range and what products you might be doing, this bit, like the selling, is non-negotiable. Unfortunately, we just want to be in our studios making our thing, and then we want people to just buy it at a decent price. Just by accident, we just want it to all suddenly disappear from our studios, and people have put hundreds of pounds into our bank account. And sadly, that is, I've found that that's not how it works. So, along with the selling and the marketing, which we're not covering today really, you need to price your products with profit in mind. This is super duper important, and it is way easier to do it right at the beginning. So pricing is one of the things that handmade businesses often find really hard. And it's easy to fall into the trap of pricing products far too low to begin with, and that will always lead to problems further down the line. Honestly, I have to say, I was not immune from this either. So like, don't be like me. Never price anything because that's all you think it's worth, or that's all you would pay for it. You are not necessarily your customer. You need to set your prices for a sustainable business. So you need to set your product price with enough profit inside that retail price that you can build a sustainable business. And then you need to set about putting your products in front of the people who both appreciate the skill and the craft that has gone into that, and who also have the means to pay the price you need to have a sustainable business. There are lots of people who can afford expensive craft items but don't see the value. They're not interested in craft ship. They can order it on Amazon for half the price. Why would they bother paying the sort of money that we need to charge because of the time and our craft? That's fine. They are not our customers. There are also lots of people who really do appreciate the craft and absolutely love your work for the craft that it is, then but can't afford the price that you need to charge. And they are lovely as they are, and they will support you with with likes on Instagram and that sort of thing. They're not your customer either. We need to find the people that are in the middle of there. Yes, Sally, it is an issue when your product is labor intensive. Yes, it is. Depending on how labor intensive it is, there are ways around that. There are ways around it, some easier, some harder, and it depends on what your craft is, and how far you want to go with building a brand to charge a good price and how much that price would be. So yes, it is absolutely, especially for people like hand lace makers. Like if you're a bobbin lace maker, that I teach embroidery, that is slow. Bobbin lace making, that is super slow. Like to sell that, you're really looking at selling to couture houses most likely, or you're looking at maybe making your pieces and turning those into patterns, kits, tutorials, and that sort of thing. So that can, to take a really labor intensive craft, those are the options you can have. You can either really build a brand that will then command that price, or you can take it in another direction and go down the teaching and selling kits and patterns and that sort of thing as well. Right. Yeah. So if you don't have enough profit in your product, just imagine that one of your favorite shops asks you to stock their shop. That's so exciting. One of your favorite shops in a high street somewhere says, I absolutely love your stuff. Please, can I order 20 of them? That's really exciting, right? Amazing. That's what everybody wants. However, in order to sell to a shop, most likely, you need to be able to discount your retail cost, the price that you are selling it for on your website or at markets and whatnot, wherever else you're selling it. You need to be able to discount that by around 50%, a bit more in the UK. It's a bit more because we also need to account for VAT. I'm not sure how it works. I think it might be about 50% in the US, but over here it's actually more than 50% that we have to really discount by. And if you haven't got enough profit in your price for that, you're going to have to pass that up as an opportunity. And that's really hard. You're going to have to turn them down and go back to the drawing board and then start gradually raising your prices, or think again. So I put the link for my profit calculator. I'm just going to open it up and quickly show you. So let me find that on here. You don't have to open it up. We've got the link and it will come out in the replay as well. But I just want to quickly show you it. Can you see that? Everybody see that okay?
Yep, looks great.
Yeah, lovely. Okay, right. So don't be put off by all the boxes. Most of them just fill themselves in. Really, all you need to do is put in your cost. So the cost of your materials, your hourly rate, how long it takes you to make things, any other costs in here, and your postage and such like. And then most other things will just auto-populate for you. So for example, the total cost to make one of this product particular is £3.39. And then down here, it will give you a wholesale price and a retail price. So if this retail price incorporates enough profit for you to sell at wholesale, and if that's where you want to take your business, it's really important that you take that seriously right from the beginning. And if you are currently selling and you get to that and you're like, oh, there is no way, I can't, that I just don't have enough profit, then at least you know that, and you can start taking steps. You can start looking at costs. You can start raising your price. Knowledge is power. This is just this is an objective data point, really, but it will give you enough profit to sell to shops. And if you come down here, this little arrow here is pointing to, there's another little sheet down here for profit margins. And I'm just going to quickly show you this. So on this sheet, it pulls it through from the first sheet. It will show you how much money you make on each platform that you sell on. So so you would obviously need to change some things like how much you charge and what the postage you charge them and what the commission you have to pay on your website The same for Etsy, and there's Fair as well. And then it will spit out and show you. So that cost, that product that cost £3.39 to make, and we're going to sell for £18. That, on the face of it, if you're not thinking about it with a business head, you might think, it only cost £3.39. Why are you charging £18? That's really greedy. But actually, in the real world, if you want to sell that to a shop, you have to, because when you've taken off the discount, and the shop isn't being greedy by asking for 50%. The shop needs that for their operating costs and their overheads and their marketing. So it's not them being greedy. You can see that you're only left with £4 and £7 profit. So obviously you wouldn't sell one of those at £4.07. So when you're wholesaling, it's a volume game. You're going to be selling more. But so there's an interesting point on there. I would definitely go and have a look at the profit margin section, as well as just looking. Don't just look at this bit and say, well, it's giving me a retail price of £5 million. That's not doable. Just take the data for what it is, which is face value. It's just an objective data point, and then think about what that means for you and your product and how you sell it. It might be that you decide, okay, I am just never going to wholesale. I mean, that is quite, depending on where you want to take your business, could be quite a serious decision. But maybe that is what you decide, or maybe you decide there are certain products. I have certain products that I don't wholesale because I don't have the margin in them, and I'm not interested in. I can't do everything. I'm not interested in building that up and making that so that I can wholesale those. I wholesale my main offerings.
I love how this becomes an objective point of view, so we can think about it differently rather than being emotionally attached. We also have a question from Janet, and you might be getting to this. In terms of selling online, what about packaging and postage for those actual, physical products?
It does take that into account as well. So on here, it will tell you the cost to pack and post one product. So when you get down to the profit margins, obviously depending on how you're selling it, that may or may not come into it. So if you're wholesaling, that doesn't really come into it, because packaging up 50 items is not going to take you a very long time, whereas packaging 50 items individually for 50 sales on your website, for example, is going to take time. So if you look on the where's my cursor gone? The website section and the Etsy section, for example, the cost of packaging and posting is pulled through from the page before, so you can get a proper view. And it also takes into account how much you charge for postage, because it might be that but only do this if you've got a good profit margin to start with. It might be that you decide to not charge the whole price. You absorb some of that into your profit margin, but don't do that if you've only got a 30% profit margin already, just to be nice. Don't do that. As tempting as it is. Does that answer your question? Does it? Yes, so I've got it in pounds, but it would be exactly the same thing. So this says £4.35, but there's no currency conversion, so it would just be $4.35. If you want to, you can, because you can get your own copy of it. You can go into the top and change it to all these ones to dollars if you want to, but there's no currency conversion, so it won't matter in the slightest.
Right, because the math is the same. Yeah.
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you for answering that. And I think I also, at some point, I think I just went in and with each column that had numbers, I just changed the currency, to US dollars. And Janet has another question. Do you consider that costs will rise and build that in so that pieces can appear stable in the future? I know we don't have a crystal ball, but how do you consider that?
I tend to consider it retrospectively. I mean, if you've got a good, and I do mean a good profit margin, small rises in cost then gives you time to adjust. And then obviously if, when it comes to the point where things have just gone up too much, I do need to increase the price. But if you've got a good profit margin, you've got that buffer as well. So no, it doesn't take into account what might happen in the future, but this is something that I would revisit this. So I have a spreadsheet. These lots of tabs with all of my products on. So I just duplicate all your tabs, and then I have one for each product that I sell. So I can go in at any time, and you should do this regularly, and say, okay, the cost of my paper has gone up, so let's just see what that is doing to my profit margin, and then decide, do I need to do something about that, or is that okay for now? So it's something that you would revisit. So yeah, do duplicate it along for each product. If you've got lots of different products, then you've always got it on hand then. Yeah, we often get all up in our head about pricing, and we feel a bit icky, but the brutal truth is that if you want to make a sustainable business, we do just have to tackle this, and it is so much easier to do it right at the beginning, rather than when you're trying to wholesale and then suddenly find that you've not got enough profit margin to do so. Let me go back to
Yeah, Sally is saying that our postage in the US Postal Service is going up exponentially and regularly, so it's hard to calculate. And I think that's just something we have to pass on to the customer at times,
yeah,
when they're
same
just
in the
unstable.
UK.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same in the UK. The Royal Mail have put their prices up about 6 times in the last couple of years, and then they're not putting it up by 5p. They're putting it up by 50p each time. Yeah, exactly the same here. So yeah, so every time there is a price increase, maybe you might decide that you're going to swallow one. Then maybe next time, maybe you do have to put it up a little bit. So I have increased my postage slightly. I'm trying not to increase it again, but I'm keeping my eye on it. Yeah, it's something that we have to just keep our eye on all the time.
Yeah, I think free shipping is like an added thing if you know what it's going to cost, maybe for one particular product and one certain time, like around a holiday. But for the most part, for me, the way I would practice it is just whatever the current shipping is gets added on to the price.
Yeah, I mean, free shipping definitely increases conversion rate. It will increase the amount of people that will buy your stuff, because the biggest thing that makes people bounce at a checkout is they put all their stuff in their basket, they're really excited, and they get there and they've convinced themselves, yeah, no, I am gonna have, yeah, we've all done this, right? Like, yeah, no, I am gonna have it, I am gonna buy it. And you get to the checkout, and then the shipping is actually like, that's now quite a bit more than I convinced myself I was going to allow myself to spend. And that's when people bounce. So free shipping definitely is a thing that can help encourage more people to buy. But it does have to not be, it isn't free. You do have to include that in your price. So there's a site that I sell on in the UK here called Holly & Co, and all of their stuff, everything on there is free shipping. You have to include the postage price in your product. So that's what you do. If you're going to offer free shipping, you include the shipping price in your product price, basically. So before, I just want to leave you with one thought about pricing, and that is, we've touched on it already, but the numbers and the prices in your business, they are not a reflection on you. They are just simply objectively giving you a number that will help you to make decisions to build a sustainable business. The price that you charge is not linked to your worth as a human. It is not linked to your ego. It is literally just a number, and it's a number that you need in order to build a sustainable business, rather than working your socks off to be earning absolutely no money, or even worse, be paying to, sometimes you can end up just paying for work. If you really look at something, you can find that actually you're losing money when you sell things, because you haven't really looked at the numbers properly, and that's not uncommon either. So that's the thought that I want to leave you with about pricing. Okay, so we've talked about how to make the range cohesive, and how to get enough profit into your product price. When you're designing your range, you want to have a few different price points. So you want to give people the chance that love your work, give them the chance to buy from you. So if they like buying originals at about £300, that's their thing. They've got the house and the budget for that. And there are lots of people that will happily spend £300 on a piece of wall art for their wall, then let them buy those. Offer them the originals at that price. If people love your originals but they can't afford £300, then offer them prints. It's a more affordable, accessible way for them to own a piece of your art. If you're an artist, I mean, the same thing applies for whatever your craft is. If you're happy to do framing, for example, offer them framed prints, because actually that could, as long as you've priced properly, that can give your profit and your average order value a bump up. If people are buying an original piece of art and you can buy it framed, then so much better. Same with prints, actually. You can offer framed prints or unframed prints as well. And then also consider some cheaper pickup items as well. Depending on your, I mean, depends on what your whole price range is. But often artists will sell things like stickers and bookmarks. If you're happy to have stuff printed, then the world is your oyster. You can have your artwork printed on all sorts of things. If you're not happy to do that, you want everything that you sell to be actually made by hand, then just have a think about what you can offer that can be a lower price point. Can you offer, for example, can you hand make some sort of bookmarks from your offcuts, or make some gift labels, for example? I've recently hit up against this because everything that I do is typed by Dorothy. And so I've recently had a conversation with myself about, in order to grow a little bit and offer a few more products in my range. For example, I have a load of offcuts of paper that every time I make books, it's to do with the grain of the paper. But anyway, I end up with paper about yay big, and I wanted to turn it into a tear-off notepad. That's fine, but I wanted each page on the tear-off notepad to say very important piece of paper, because I think that's funny, and I think that's much better than just having it on the cover. I want to have it on every single piece of paper. Clearly, I can't type that 50 times, make it into a notepad and sell it for £6.50. That just doesn't make any sense. So I had to have a conversation with myself about whether, am I happy then to get Dorothy to type it, scan it, and digitally print it. And so that is what I did. So I've introduced a couple of things, and I find that actually most of my customers just don't care. They don't care. They like the look of it. And those that really do want something that has actually been done by Dorothy, that's what they'll buy. They'll buy something that has actually been typed by Dorothy. But it opens out the people that I can sell to and the range of products that I can sell, and I can get a lower, like a more entry level point. So you want your hero product. My cursor here. So you want your hero product, you want your signature piece. So if you're an artist, maybe that is your original art. For me, the thing that I mainly sell is not a really expensive thing. It's actually my A5 notebooks, and they're £18. So that's not a huge cost. And then for a more affordable option, so we talked about prints or a smaller version. So for me, I have a smaller version of a notebook. So my A6 notebook, it's not massively cheaper because I still am hand making that, but it's £11 instead of £18. And so people who just really like the idea of it and want to buy a gift for their friend or colleague that's leaving at work, and they just love the idea of that. Like, oh, but I wasn't going to spend £18 on them. Oh, but I'll spend 11, and they still get a piece of my art, a piece of Dorothy, and they still get that lovely feeling of buying that thing that's been handmade and typed on Dorothy, but for a little bit cheaper price. And then you want some add-ons as well. So little impulse buys that complement your range, that people might add to their order, so it increases your average order value. So for me, that is things like I sell pencils. I'm so happy I found a pencil maker in the UK. It's about 2 hours away from me, and they make pencils using more sustainable wood, and they print funny phrases on it for me. So I have pencils then that go with it, and these notepads, and I've recently started doing some bookmarks with funny phrases about tea and coffee and stuff on them as well. So they're like £2.50. People just pick them up, or at markets they're a thing that people will buy a few of. So your cohesive range, when you're thinking about your products, we've thought about how it might look, who it's for, we've thought about pricing of it, and then when you're deciding what you're going to actually put into production and try and sell, think about having a few different price points.
I'm just wondering if, okay, so I have a notebook, I have pencils that can go with it, I have other things. And how would you list those? Like, basic product, put some pencils in. How would you put it so it doesn't seem like, it seems like a better gift rather than a nasty upsell?
So you can bundle it. So I have listings on my website and on Etsy that are, you can buy a notebook on its own, or you can buy, so I have a notebook that says analog storage device. I'm very proud of that. I'm going to paint it, I think. I think it's funny. Older men really think that's funny. So you can buy the analog storage device notebook on its own, but I also have that bundled with, because I also sell, so these pencils that I sell individually at £2.50, I also sell in a set of 4 for £10 in a gift box. So you can get a bundle, you can get the analog storage device notebook, and you can get pencils that get to the point, which, so they're really humorous. So they say things like may contain words, and magic writing stick. So they say like humorous things that the kind of person that is going to find analog storage device funny will also like these pencils. So you can bundle them together. And you can also, I do have underneath the listings on my website, there is just a little thing underneath saying, do you want to add a pencil? Like, and so you can add it or not. And gift wrap actually is quite a good add-on. So you can have it just there on the page. People can either add it in or not. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
I have a question for you, Michaela. I tend to be pretty prolific. So even if I were to come up with a product range, I would probably have a lot of different products. Would you suggest that there's just a minimal amount? Is there like a magic number where there's a minimal amount or a maximum amount so that people don't get confused, or so that you funnel them right into purchasing?
I think if they all go together and they all look like they come from the same person, then you probably can't have too many, but it then comes down to how you present them to people. So if you've got, like, for example, you wouldn't want, like on your website, you wouldn't just want like 500 products just all listed on one. You would have them like sectioned up then into categories. So, and even if you don't have so many, I do this on my website. I mean, mostly I sell one thing in 4 different sizes and 3 different colors, 3 different sizes and 4 different colors. I pretty much sell the same thing. This is the thing that people mostly buy, and I do it in 4 different colors and 3 different sizes.
I love that. Yeah.
But there are then ways of presenting it. So I will have, so on my website, I've got category. I've got it. I do have some other designs, but that is what that's the one that people will mostly buy. So then you can have it categories to split down a larger range. But also, even if you don't have a big range, you can still use categories to direct people. So on my website, I've got a tab for notebooks, I've got a tab for personalized gifts, and then within that, if you drop down the personalized gift tab, then it's got gifts for mum, gifts for dad, gifts for new parents, golden shiny gifts, and quite a lot of the products are in more than one of those categories. But as a customer, if I'm coming to your site, I can go and say, no, I'll give for my mum. Then I don't have to trawl through everything else. So whether you've got a big range or a small range, how you present them is
and I love that you do categories, because even though I want to see the whole product catalog, everything that you've got, it helps for me to see, products for mom. I'm like, oh, great. I'll remember that next time I need a gift for her, or I'll go ahead and order it and have it on hand when I'm ready to give her that gift. So it kind of suggests to me as a buyer that this is a great gift for, like you said, mom or whoever. So yeah.
Because people might not necessarily think about that, so that's a great like
Yeah.
nudge and prompt for people. You can still have, and I do have a shop all section, so if you really just want to have a look at absolutely everything all together, you can. But I think yeah, so if you want to shop like that, you can. But I would say most people probably go through the categories because they've got an idea of what interests them.
Yeah, absolutely. And you use really, really fine papers. And the reason why I want to bring that up is because I've purchased several of your notebooks at different sizes to give to gifts to calligraphers. And the paper is beautiful. The ink doesn't bleed and doesn't bleed through the pages. And so having that quality of paper too is really great. So describing that, but also having great photography is a big piece because you really do see the texture and the quality in the photography that you use.
Yes, thank you. So I think that might be what we're about to talk about next. If I go on to the next slide. Ta-da!
I was
Show your
queuing
product
you
for
up.
great photography. Thank you. So as Heather quite rightly said, images are everything when you're selling online. They just are everything. And I would consider investing money as soon as you can in professional photography when you're starting a handmade or any kind of product business, but we're talking about handmade businesses here. And I know that it is out of the reach for a lot of people when you're first starting, but I would definitely I would definitely think about that would be the first thing that I would spend money on. So the images on your product listing, they've got to work really, really hard. They have got to give your customer all the information that they would get if they were in a shop or at a market and they could pick up your item. So if they can pick it up and touch it, they would turn it over and they would feel the texture of it. They would look inside, they would look at the back, they would see the beautiful detail that you have spent time and thought crafting this in beautiful detail. And your product photography needs to show the customer that. Images are also really, really important part of your brand positioning. So lifestyle images will give your potential buyers a chance to imagine your product in their own lives or within a life that they aspire to. If you think about those the things we were talking about earlier in our perfect customer, and so that those two living rooms, that top living room, people might be at Molly's stand and they're looking at her houseplant print, and then they're imagining it in their house, or they're imagining it in a version of the life that they aspire to. It might be that their house doesn't look like that, but maybe they would like it to look like that, and so that can be a step towards. So lifestyle images can give your potential buyers a chance to imagine that as well. So it will let them think about what they can use it for if you've got a picture of your product in use. So I was talking to a maker who she's a sewer, and she had like little storage basket things. So but if she can show that in use, like maybe can you use that as a plant pot? Oh yeah, so if you have a photograph of a plant in it, that gives the people won't necessarily think on their own accord, oh, I could put my plant in that. If they see an image of, oh, well, yeah, you can, okay, fine, I'm going to get one of those to put my plant in because that's what I want to do. Or maybe you've got kids' toys in it. If you show the item in use, people can imagine what they're going to use it for. If you've just got an empty basket on a white background, yeah, they might like it, but if they don't imagine what use they've got for it right now, they're probably going to click off. If they see something like, oh, I need something for Jasper's toys, I'm going to buy that now. Did you see how that works? It can also help with like the aspirational thing that I was talking about a minute ago. What kind of people buy this? Is this for me? Is this bought by the kind of people that I am like, or that I want to be like? How does this fit? How does this fit into my life? So you can see like these shoes here, for example. So you can see really clearly. So this is quite a good hero image. The shoes are quite clear. It's very obvious that we're selling a pair of shoes if this is our product listing, but also because it's been photographed on a nice mossy wall in a pine woodland, or maybe it's not a pine woodland, maybe they just stuck a Christmas tree behind it and it's actually in their backyard. It doesn't matter. It looks like we are going for a tramp in the woods. I'm the kind of person that loves walking in the woods and I need a new pair of shoes. They look like, therefore, my kind of person. So that's why these things are really important. So I talked earlier about investing as soon as you're able to in professional photography. The quality of your product images can significantly impact the sales of your product because they impact your brand perception. So if we just photograph these shoes next to our skirting board in our living room, that's a pair of shoes. But now we've got them in a nice woodlandy background. They look very different, and they're speaking to a different kind of person. We're not talking to somebody who just has a hole in their shoe and needs a pair of shoes. We're talking to people that maybe want to buy some new shoes to go tramping around in the woods in. If they're photographed beautifully, they'll catch the eye. They'll invite the viewer to take a closer look. The same item photographed badly will probably jar the eye and repel them, and they'll just send them away. I've got a little example for you here. These two items are exactly the same. These are both really beautifully hand knitted beanie hats. They're both on sale at the moment for Etsy, or they were when I took these. So this one is for sale for £14. I don't know how anybody is knitting anything and selling it for £14. That's probably what, about $18. They're not there. Yeah, I don't know how long it takes to, unless they speed knit in their sleep. I don't know. So, but you can see that this one we've got a photograph. It's really nicely lit photograph. It's on the model. Having it on a model gives us a sense of what kind of person might be buying it for, who it's aimed at. It doesn't mean that everybody who buys this hat is going to look like this. It's just giving a sense. It's all calling to their ideal customer, and they're able to command £70 for this hand knitted beanie. And they've made sales. Both of these hats have made sales. This one over here is probably just as nice a beanie. It looks like it's made really nicely, but you can't command £70 for a hat if you're photographing it like that. This image is simply saying, here's a yellow beanie. And unless what you actually really want in this moment in your life is a yellow beanie, you're probably going to pass that over. So it's a stark example, but these examples are, I pulled these off. They are from real shops.
Yeah, that yellow beanie looks like it was thrown on the floor.
Yeah, but how many hours must it have taken to make?
Right, exactly.
And notwithstanding the price, notwithstanding the price is definitely wrong. No, yeah. I mean, obviously, I'm not saying nobody's going to buy it. People have bought it, so it has made sales. But the difference in the brand perception and the price you can then command via your photography really can uplift. So especially where you've got time-intensive crafts like knitting, you need to be getting as good a price as you can, because it takes a long time. So obviously not everyone has got the budget to have a pro photo shoot to start with, and whilst I do urge you to save your profits, because you're pricing for profit now. Every time you sell stuff, you're making a profit. Save some of those profits towards and save up for a pro photo shoot. Unless you are a pro photographer, then that's fine. You don't need to do that, or you know one. Perfect. Until then, spend time, maybe a little bit of money if you have it, on educating yourself on how to style, how to light your product, how to take decent images on your phone, because that will make a big difference for your sales. There's lots of tutorials online. I'm going to give you a few pointers in a minute. But while you're waiting, while you're waiting to save your profits, you could also try collaborating with other businesses. This is really common in the wedding industry. So as calligraphers, you might be maybe doing some stuff for weddings. Quite often, the people who make the invitations, who make the cake, who make the wedding dress, who do the flowers, often will, and the photographer will often all collaborate together on a photo shoot. So that can be a really good way of getting professional photographs, because everybody we're not using a photographer for free or for exposure. We definitely don't want to be doing that. but in this scenario, everybody gets something because the photographer is either getting paid by everybody else, or the photographer is also wanting stuff for their portfolio. They need stuff to photograph. So collaborating with other businesses can be a way of making it cheaper to have a professional photo shoot. The other thing you can look at, especially if you're doing art, is using professional mock-ups. Things like Art Placer and Unsplash. I have got those. I'll just put those websites in the chat. So Art Placer has got some really quite good scenes that you can mock up your art in. Unsplash has some as well, some for free, but just be careful and choose the really, really nice ones. Even pay a little bit of money for them. You can get decent professional mock-ups on places like Unsplash and Creative Market for not, if it costs you like £15 for a decent mock-up that's going to really elevate your product, then I would say if you can afford that, that's probably really worth it. And while you're waiting for that, learn as much as you can, take an online course, look at experienced sellers, product images, and practice. Your first ones, my first product images are terrible. Everybody's first product images are terrible unless you're already a trained photographer. You just keep going, and gradually you get better. Gradually you do get better. I can, even if I take my images with my digital camera, there's still a massive difference for me between the photos that I take and the photos that my photographer takes. But you can definitely get much better, and you can get it where the difference is smaller, or where they are good enough that people don't necessarily realize it wasn't a professional photographer. So here are a few pointers. You do not need fancy equipment when you're starting. If you're just really bootstrapping this and you need good images, most of us have got a phone, a camera phone, so that is fine to start with. Use natural daylight rather than, don't put the big light on. Also, don't put the big light on and use natural daylight. The big light can, like just artificial lighting in your room can cast quite weird color casts. The times I have taken a photograph and then looked at it and like, why is it all purple? And I can't understand it. And then I realized I'd left the light on. So turn the light off and just use the natural daylight. Use a few props. Use props that make sense, but not like loads. Make sure that your product is the style. We want to know what it is that we're buying. And for backgrounds, if you don't have anywhere nice to, like, if you're like, oh, but my house is a mess, I don't have anywhere nice to take a photo of, just go to the art shop and buy coloured card, coloured paper. You can use those for backgrounds really, really cheaply. Clean your lens actually is a really cheap tip, especially when we're using our phone. Our phones are in and out of our pockets, we're handling them all the time. It is quite likely that there might be a bit of a smear on your lens, so give it a little clean before you start. If you have the funds, buy a cheap tripod. You can get them for about £15 or £20, so not a huge amount of money, and that will just make sure that everything is nice and still and it won't be blurry when you tap. Also, I mean, even so, tap very, very gently when you take your photo, or you can get really cheap, and again, they're only about £8 to £10, a little remote clicker for your phone. Then you don't have to touch it at all. Then it will be, if you've got a tripod or one of those, it will be definitely still, as long as you're not on bouncy floorboards and you're moving around. That will be fine. Make sure your product is in focus. So usually on your phone, there's if you tap where your product is, there's usually a little box that pulls up, and then that will be where it focuses for you. Take the shot a bit further away than what you want so that you can crop in, because you can crop in to get your product exactly where you want it. If you want it in the middle, you might not want it in the middle, but wherever you do want it in the shot, you've got options then, and you've also got options then for if you need to have it in a different aspect ratio. So just take it a little bit further away and then crop it, and do some light editing. Don't go mad, but just, you will usually want to at least up the brightness a little bit, maybe brighten the shadows, maybe just have a look at the contrast, have a little fiddle with that slider, see what it does. Depending on your phone, you can maybe just do that natively in your phone. Some phones have got really, really good editing, or you can use an app like, I haven't got a link for this actually, but there's an app called Snapseed that's pretty good. Before I got my digital camera, I used to use Snapseed, and it has a masking feature. And what I used to do was I used to mask. It has like a radial mask. You just like draw a circle around my product, and then I would slightly sharpen that, and then I would slightly blur the background. And then it made it look like I'd taken it with a fancy DSLR and done that cool depth of field thing, which I hadn't. I just used my phone and Snapseed. So you can do some pretty cool things without having a digital camera and without having a professional photographer. But mainly you want good light. You want it styled nicely. The Snapseed is also for, you can get it for Android as well.
Yep, I put the links in the chat for Snapseed. I love it. I use it all the time.
I'll use it.
Yeah.
There is a section in the workbook for you to think. We're not going to do that now, but for when you come to think about your photography, to think about the props and the backgrounds that you might use, and obviously bearing in mind the customer and what tribe we're talking to, who we're talking to. So I've just got a few little things here just to think about image styling. So we've already talked about these shoes. These are definitely for outdoorsy people, aren't they? They want to be off on an adventure. So let's say that we're selling this teacup. This obviously isn't the product image because you can't see the teacup so well, but this would be a lifestyle image. You would have a separate image of the teacup so you could see it really, really well. But it's clearly showing that we're aiming here for people that like nice, modern, sleek, and they're interested in fashion. That is the look. That's the tribe we're going for. Let's say we're selling these cushions, and again, this is a lifestyle shot rather than a hero shot. So like these shoes, this would be a good product image as well, because it's quite clear that it's the shoes that we're selling, but also gives an indication of the lifestyle. If we're selling these cushions, it's quite clear that this is a very different person to this person. So this person, likes their whites and their creams and their neutrals, and then this person likes their more earthy colours and their velvets and such like. So that's just an idea of what I'm talking about when I'm talking about props that make sense and settings that make sense. Okay, and here is a list of shots that you might want to include. Don't worry about copying it down. It is also in your workbook. But so you don't necessarily need to include all of them, but a good selection of them would be good. So a hero shot, we talked about making sure that we know what we're buying. The product is in focus. It's quite clear that this is what we're buying. Close-ups of those details, especially if you've got like an extra special detail of stitching or a little tab that you put on, or just something extra that you do for your work. The back of it, if there's something interesting going on the back, we definitely want to see that. If you've got a cool lining, we definitely want to see that. What is inside? If you've got different variations, different colors, maybe a group shot is great. A lifestyle shot, which we were talking about a minute ago. A process shot for handmakers, actually a process shot is a really, really good idea, because it just reminds people, oh wow, yeah, she makes this actually with her hands. It's not made in a factory in China somewhere on a machine. She's actually doing that with a needle and thread. It just reminds people of the craftsmanship that goes into it, and the time that goes into it, and your care and your attention. Just reminds people. And then a shot of the product in use, which we talked about earlier. And I know you're all going to hate me for this. A video.
Now, when you say video, do we have to be in the video?
You do not have to be in the video. No, you do not have to be in the video. So when I'm talking about a video, a few video snippets can go a really, really long way to showing things like I was talking about with the process shot, like 3 to 5 seconds of your hands, doesn't have to be you, of your hands making the thing. Just really, it shows part of the process. It can be you, and I'll show you an example in a minute on one of my listings. It can be you just picking up the product, turning it over, looking inside. All of those things, it shows so much more than a photograph, because in one 3 to 5 second video, you can show people the back, the inside. You can bring it up to the camera and show that beautiful texture. It shows so much more than a static image. And again, you can take them on your phone camera. You can brighten them up a little bit and crop them if needed just on your phone app usually. You wouldn't necessarily have to take it outside somewhere. You should probably be able to do this on your phone. And then you can use those videos in your online listings, but also on your social media. You could take a long one and chop it up, use it and make a reel. You can stitch together shorter ones to make reels. You can put it in your, if you've got an email list, and if you don't already, or you're going to sell, I hope that you will. You can take, I often sometimes take short sections of them and turn them into GIFs, and put those, because videos in email is not a good idea for deliverability, and a lot of email service providers won't let you put a video directly in. You can link out to them, but I use a GIF so that they can open it and it will be there doing its thing for them straight away. So you can do that with them as well. So I implore you to consider the video. Everybody hates doing them, but I would just get into the habit of videoing. So today I was making a load of notebooks, and I was the ones that I splat with ink. So I'm covered in ink. So I just set up my tripod. I just set up my tripod and just let it film me. And then I set it up when I was stitching them over here. And so then I've got a couple of little sections, and I put those on my Instagram stories earlier on, and I can use those. I can use those later. I could put those in the product listing if I wanted to. There is a video in the product listing already, actually, but I can use them when I'm talking about that product on Instagram later. I can use those in all sorts of places. And it was just, I just have a really, really cheap, I'm not going to get it because you know what tripods look like, a really, really cheap tripod, and just set it up and just get in the habit of recording bits and bobs. And you don't have to be in it. If you are in it, that adds a bit of extra personality. People really know that it is you making it. Yeah.
And we live in a short attention span world. So even if you took 3-second videos, maybe took just a few of them and put them together, that's enough to keep people's attention with some music or some, you don't even have to talk, just show it, show the great product. Yeah.
That's enough. You don't have to be, we're not making films. That's not what we need to be doing. Right. I've got one more section to go about writing a product description. Are there any questions about photography before I move on to our product descriptions? So once you've got that interest with your images, you need to reel them in with that product description that speaks to your ideal customer and it gets them to click the buy button. So where many makers head to here is to list all of the features of your product, its color, its size, the material it's made from. And on the face of it, logically, that makes sense. It's important information. And yes, it is important information, but it's not the information that makes people buy. The fact that something is a certain size and so they know it will fit where they want it to go might be important to some people, but this logical side of the brain isn't the part that makes us buy something really. Before we get to logistics and logic, you need to win over the heart, because we don't buy with our heads, we actually buy with our hearts and our emotions. We all do. Not when we're buying a tin of beans so much, although don't be fooled, the brand of beans that you choose, this is definitely at work. If you go for supermarket own, or you need to have Heinz, I don't know if you have Heinz in the US, but Heinz is like, that's who makes the baked beans in this country. That definitely is at work, even just buying a tin of beans. So what we need to sell to get to the heart and the emotion is the benefits of the product. What will it do for you if you buy this? How will you feel? Because in truth, no one cares about your product. Ouch. Ouch. No one cares about your product. They care about themselves. And I don't mean that. I know that sounds like really, oh my God, everybody's awful. And that isn't what I mean. We are all like this essentially. What we really care about is how I'm going to feel when I buy that product. You look at something like, oh yeah, then I could do that. You start imagining yourself using it, don't you? What you care about is what it will do for you. So what we want to do is we want to talk about the benefits of the product, not the features. We want to talk about what it will do for me, how it will make me feel, and what does it say about me. So when you're writing your description, think about the features and then ask, but why should I care? Why should anybody care? So for example, say you make a child's hat and it's lined with a soft cotton jersey. That's a feature. It's lined with soft cotton jersey. So what? So the reason I should care about that is that it's super soft and it won't irritate your child's head. So that is what we sell. But actually we take that one step further. Your little one is going to stay comfortable and warm on days out and scampers in the woodland. Everybody scampers in the woodland in my life. So we're selling that that benefit that they're going to stay nice and warm and comfortable, and we're adding that little thing into their head that, oh yeah, we go out on adventures in the woodland, then suddenly they're imagining themselves with their child scampering the woodland, having a nice warm head. So I'm going to show you an example quickly. This is one of the listings on my website. So it's a notebook. It costs £18, which is about $24. But what I'm selling here, I'm not selling a notebook, because who on earth would buy a notebook for £18 when you can buy a notebook for £1 from Tesco? Anybody who just wants a notebook for the purpose of using a notebook to write their shopping list isn't going to buy this. Why would you spend £18 on it when you can get one for £1? What I'm selling here is that quiet moment, some time to yourself, a cozy corner, the feeling of lighting a candle and sitting with a cuppa in a comfy area, and journaling, just taking some time for yourself. Because this notebook fits that narrative, the images fit that narrative, and the product description fit that narrative, and it has that buyer in mind. They can picture themselves doing that. My customer doesn't want a bright white lined notebook from Tesco. They value design, they value the feel and craft, they value that it's environmentally friendly, it's hand stitched, made with textile industry waste. So all of that is conveyed by the images, but also by this description. So this is just so there is a longer description. So you can see this short description here is what we call above the fold. Like before I scroll, I can see this. It's right next to the add to cart button. So it says a trio of hand stitched notebooks, inviting you to make your mark, gather your words, collect your thoughts, made for quiet moments in a cozy corner with your pen, a coffee and a candle, hand bound and made from handmade paper with recycled silk side ribbon, a gentle nudge to pause, reflect and create. That is what we're selling. We're selling that moment to the customer. If they're interested and they want to know a bit more about it, we don't want to clutter this bit up with loads and loads of information. If I scroll, there's a few more photos and a video. Look, video.
See, that just makes me want to hang on the page longer, even though it's a very short video. What is it? Maybe 5 seconds, but it makes me want to hang there just a little bit longer. Any longer of a video than that, and it would make the web page too big.
Yes, so you do have to be careful. Yeah, you do have to be careful with them. So so make them quite short, so they're showing something important, and optimize them to make them as small as you can. But you can see the rest of the information is in here in the read more section here. There's all sorts of more information there, and then we get into things like the size, the sustainability, the packaging, deliveries and returns, all the important stuff that people need to know. They need to know that. You want that on the page, but they don't need that at the top. At the top, they need to be like, oh yeah, I want that. I'd like that, please. Right. Before I send you off to go and do this for yourself, I just want to leave you with a quick story, very short story from my husband. So my husband works with a guy called John, and John asked Stuart what his wife does for work, and he explained that she makes handmade notebooks. Oh, I don't know how much she charged for them then. Oh, about £18. Woo! Woo! John can't believe his ears. John cannot believe his ears. She's not going to be selling many of them then, is she? And Stuart explains, actually, yes, she does. She sells lots of them all over the world, all fine and dandy. But the truth is, it doesn't matter that John doesn't understand. John wants a notebook to write his Tesco shopping list in. He probably got his notebook from Tesco last time he was there. That's fine. He's not interested in a quiet moment for himself with a candle and a journal. His quiet moment involves a beer and Sky Sports. He's Sky Sports and Carlsberg's customer, not my customer. And that's fine. I don't need to attract John. My customer is Amanda, who's a yoga teacher, and she loves to sit down with a candle and journal. And actually, journaling keeps her sane. She has to journal for her mental health. She doesn't feel right if she doesn't. So your job when you're planning your range, setting your prices, taking your images, writing your listings, is to think about design, price, and write for your version of Amanda. We don't need to attract John. We don't want to attract John, because if we did attract him, he wouldn't buy. That's what I want you to do when you're all of this work is all about this not necessarily one person. You don't have to, you can, some people do just decide on one person and make everything for them if that helps you, but we don't need to be attracting John. We want to attract your version of Amanda. So now, please, I would love you to. You can use the bottom of the workbook if you want, or just a notepad and pen. 3 minutes. Just have a think about what your short description might be for one of your products. Just thinking about everything that we've said there. There we go. There are your prompts. Off you go.
There you go. How did we do?
That. So, does anybody have any thoughts, questions? Does anybody want to share what they've come up with? Absolutely no pressure. Nobody has to.
And it's a short description, so.
Add a touch of luxury to uplift your day.
Aha. Okay. And what are you selling?
It's a general thing at the moment.
Oh, okay, fine. Fine. Yes. So you might, so when you know exactly what it is that you're selling, then you might want to expand on that and sort of exactly how it's going to uplift your day. What exactly is it going to do for you? It's difficult to appreciate if you don't know exactly what your product is at the moment. But so is it, is it a little bit of time for yourself and lighting a candle, is, depending on what your product is. But yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, I certainly felt what Janet said, but I get what you mean about what's the actual product, because as soon as she said that, I thought about taking a bath, right? So what would I take in the bath? So the benefits could really help with the description of what it is, right? By using
Yes.
this fill in the blank what the product is, here's the impact that you'll receive.
Yes. So
Yeah.
so when you're looking at the features, then you're asking that question. So why would I care about that? And so if it was a bath product, yeah, maybe it's lavender scented, so it will help you have a great night's sleep, for example. Like that's something that people might want. Right. So thank you so much. I've been Michaela. You've been absolutely lovely. And here endeth my sermon.
Well, we have a few questions. I have a few go backs, and folks,
good.
if you
Okay,
have
cool.
more questions, feel free to put them in the chat, or after we answer these two, we can go back and answer more. Janet was asking, and I answered just briefly in the chat, how to add music to the video and what are some of the editing programs. Now, I find that when I'm working in Instagram, I can just add in the short clips and then add the music very easily. But what editing programs do you use, Michaela, for your videos?
It depends, but yeah, but I have swung between using like high-end ones like an Adobe one, although I've just cancelled my Adobe subscription because they're asking far too much money. So for to go on Instagram, I wouldn't, you want to add the music in the app, because if you want to use that video somewhere else, that app might not have the permissions to play that music. So so I would take your video as is, and then if you're going to use it on Instagram, put it in Instagram as a reel and then choose from their music. If you're going to put it on TikTok, put it in TikTok and choose from their music. In terms of editing for my listings, I actually will often cheat, and I'm not on a Mac, I'm on a PC, and if I go into my file explorer and I right click on the video, it will let you open it in the photo app, and in the photo app there's a trimming thing, so I can then trim it to the size that I want and just get the section that I want. And then I will usually put it through a free app called Any Video Converter, just to make it smaller. If it's going to go on, if it's not going on my website, then it doesn't matter. But if it's going to go on my website, I will usually then put it through, make it shorter, so that it's less smaller file size anyway, and also for attention span. Like Heather said, that video on my website was only a few seconds long. You don't want like a 3-minute video, especially on your website, not directly, most likely. Yeah, then I'll put it through Any Video Converter to optimize it to make the file size smaller. The other thing that I do if I'm putting it on my website, and somebody earlier on was asking what a website platform to use, I use Squarespace. And so what I do if I'm putting a video is I also put a backup image, so that then the video can be loaded last, and the image could be loaded first, so then it helps to not slow the site down as well. Excellent. Does that answer the questions about editing?
Yeah, does that answer the questions, or does that bring up any more questions? Inspire any new questions if you had just a few minutes left with Michaela. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. I was asking about the website platform because I'm looking at it like right now. And so I also have Squarespace, and I was curious, can you also do like add-ons? Like I saw on your list that you had like an add-on. So you can also do that in Squarespace. And is that which plan is that? Do you have like a more upgraded plan to be able to do that?
I think now you can probably do that. I don't know, they've changed their plans recently. So you don't need the e-commerce advanced plan for that. I have upgraded. Yeah, they've changed the plans recently, so the plan that I'm on won't be available to you. I think you can probably do that on any of the plans. Almost certainly the second plan up, if not the very, very basic one. I can't remember what they've done now, but yeah, that's all native. I've added some code to tweak the styling of it, but the functionality is there in Squarespace. Yeah. Okay. I'm a big Squarespace nerd, so feel free to hit me up with your Squarespace questions.
Same here. I love Squarespace too. And I just was like, some people are telling me I need to get Shopify. And so I wasn't sure if I like needed to like integrate Shopify in my Squarespace, but it's good to know that you do everything in Squarespace.
Yeah, I wouldn't. The only reason to integrate Squarespace with Shopify really is if you really need and want the extra functionality, e-commerce functionality that Shopify has, which for most of us we often don't need. But if there is something that you really, really need, but you really, really want Squarespace does beautifully designed websites. It's much easier to get a beautiful website on Squarespace. If you really wanted a beautifully designed website on Squarespace, but you needed the functionality, there is a way of marrying the two, but that's probably going to be overkill for most small hand makers.
Okay, perfect. And I'm small too, so that should work for me. And then the last question for you, the CRM. So do you have like a CRM that you integrate to get people's emails and email them regularly?
So I'm currently on Klaviyo. Squarespace does have its own email campaign. It's a bit limited for the price. But you can pretty much be with anybody, and you can just use code to embed their block anywhere on Squarespace, really. And I'm pretty sure you can do that on all of the plans now. There used to be some limitation on being able to use code blocks, but I think they've removed those.
Well, I was going to try Klaviyo too, so I started with Klaviyo.
There you go.
But I was like, I don't know if I should go Klaviyo or Flowdesk.
Yeah, I haven't used Flowdesk, so I can't speak to that. They're very beautiful emails. Klaviyo certainly gives me good analytics. I wish it played more nicely with Squarespace. So Klaviyo plays very nicely with Shopify. There's really good integration between and the data that you get. I've upgraded to an e-commerce plus plan so that I can have access to the API, so that I can try and pull some of that through to my Klaviyo. But even without it, I feel like Klaviyo is giving me it's giving me good data on my emails anyway.
Okay, yeah, that's what I've heard. But okay, so you do like that integration. It's just not as seamless as Shopify, but Klaviyo
it doesn't integrate as such. You can put in a code, you can put in a newsletter block, so you can gather emails. That's really easy. And you can do that with any email service provider on Squarespace. Their like default one is MailChimp, but you can do any if you use a code block. But it doesn't integrate as such. Like it's not talking to the commerce bit of it. It doesn't know what people have bought. And so that's the bit that but when you're very first starting, you really don't need all of that. I mean, I don't really necessarily need all that, but I kind of want it to, because I'm trying to learn more, learn more stuff.
About your customer. Okay, that's good to know. Thank you so much. This is great.
You're very welcome.
I love those questions, Kimberly. I feel like,
Thank you.
There's so many different platforms that we can pull together, and it's about prioritizing what do you want it to do, and will that grow with your business, and then do you have the budget to do it now? So I go in phases, like what can I do right now? Because those all-in-ones can cost you a lot, but then adding a lot of things could mean you've really got to know the technical part. So hopefully you've got some good mentors or access to some ways to make sure your integration and automations are working the way you want them to. Yeah, you're asking really smart questions.
You can always email me if you're on Squarespace. You can always email me. I will help.
Oh, excellent.
I know stuff and I like to help.
I'm doing it right now, so this is very timely.
Oh, well, another thing that you might want is on my website, I've got it's a freebie, a homepage roadmap, like an optimized homepage of where to put things on your homepage for specifically for handmade businesses, because the templates that you get on a website, they're usually geared for service-based businesses. So at the top navigation is things like about and my services, and that just doesn't make sense. That's not how we build an e-commerce website. So you might want to grab that as well. It's free. It's on my website.
Okay.
Well, if there's any more questions, please put them in the chat, but I would love to know, and please type this in the chat. What is one thing that you learned today that you are going to use right away? What is one thing you learned today that you are going to use right away? Because you've spent some great time. Some of you have dropped some cash to get here. Oh, I love it. Snapseed. Yes. Love that. And in Snapseed, you can do all kinds of things. You can even add text if you want to. Lots of different formatting. It's like having Photoshop just in your hand. And I've used Photoshop for over 20 years, and I love Snapseed. It's not the same, but it's really great. Pricing chart and product description. Wonderful, Rebecca. And make sure that whatever it is you use that you're going to use right away, put some time on your calendar to make sure that you actually do the work or learn a little bit more about either the apps you're going to use or some of these great tools that Michaela has shared. Yeah, pricing chart. Yeah, practice.
It might give
Excellent.
some of you a shock, and I'm really sorry if the number that it spits out makes you go, but it's just remember, it's not saying anything about you. It's an objective number.
Yeah, I love that objectivity. That's what's helped me look at my mind, change my mindset around the way that I price my work and the way that I look at my own value, because it does come up, and then you kind of have to work with both sides to make sure that it feels like a good fit.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be comfortable with what you're charging, because
Right.
otherwise you'll completely self-sabotage yourself. So there is that as well. But yeah, it will give you a number for a sustainable business, and then you figure out what you're going to do with that information.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, you have so many fabulous resources, folks. I hope that you'll keep following Michaela, sign up for her email list, because she does put out very practical and inspiring emails all the time. I get them all the time and love them all. Looks like we've got even more things in the chat: defining your customer, pricing chart, and giving a clue onto how much work goes into the final product. So thank you all for joining us today. Join us next month, and I will follow up with the video and these wonderful resources that Michaela has offered us today. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much for coming and letting me talk to you. Bye.
Let's give Michaela a big round of applause. Thank you, Michaela.
Thank you.
So great to see you. Wonderful. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you next time.